Do you wish that you looked more like a wench, a fairy, a mermaid, a princess, or anything like that, and that you could show off your knitting abilities? Watch along. Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm here today to film a video about the Renaissance Festival and things that you could wear and knit and wear to go to the Renaissance Festival. I just recently went to the Colorado Renaissance Festival. It goes throughout the summer and it was such a great time. I didn't have time to knit anything for myself, but I was thinking about like all the things that I would really like to make if I had time. So I wanted to compile some today. I'm not wearing anything knitty. Well, actually I am. I'm wearing this tank top, but this cape is actually from the Renaissance Festival. It's got a hood. Capes are awesome, by the way. So I've got the cape and I've got a little crown, but nothing else too knitted. So I'm very excited to talk to you about some Renaissance Festival knitted accessories items. And honestly, not all of these are knitted. We'll get into that, but they're all very related to yarn, fiber arts, things like that. My coworkers and I were joking that we were going to go be yarn wenches and yarn fairies throughout the whole time. So I think that hopefully you're seeing that aesthetic come through. And this, I guess it's not really aesthetic, seeing that vibe for this event come through. So I was trying to structure how to talk about things when it comes to the Ren Fair because there are so many different ways that people dress. There's so many different characters that you can kind of be when you're at the Ren Fair. So I've structured it around a few different categories that you might want to dress as. There's definitely more categories that you could dress as, and there's definitely more that I could dive into on each one, but I felt like this was a really good starting point. I've made 3 categories that I was most often seeing at the Renaissance Festival when I was there, and that I could identify knitted objects that would add to the outfit. And so that's what I'm going with today. I think you could definitely add more categories, add more things to each, but here's the start. So to start off, a lot of people were dressed as pirates or mermaids of some kind, and so I thought it'd be really fun for a pirate or mermaid outfit to add something netted, and I have a few patterns that are netted, and to add stitch markers in your hair, which I have actually done. I have a bunch of flower and fruit ones that I've actually made. So here's a little strawberry, for instance, that, you know, I just braided my hair and then pinned it in. If you have lobster clap stitch markers or like these earring type ones, you can easily kind of add a lot to your hair, especially if you had little small braids, adding them. I saw a lot of people who were dressed as pirates or mermaids had like hair jewelry like this, and I think adding your stitch markers is such a fun way to use them in a different way and can really add to your outfit and add something fiber arts related into your hair, which is so fun. So for netted things, I do have 3 patterns. The first netted object is the Swish Net Scarf. This is by Zandy Peters. Here's a picture of it. And it is just a very loose, open lace designed to make very large hexagonal nets. It looks like there's 2 different sizes of the netting that you can make, and it's marketed as a scarf. I think that this could easily be something, you know, depending on the size you make, you tie it around your waist, you wear it more as like a skirt almost, or, you know, it's see-through, but like something of a skirt, or you put it in your hair, or you do wear it over your shoulders. I think just draping it somewhere on you is going to add to either a mermaid or a pirate look. And these samples are all in very multicolored yarns, which is super fun, but I feel like for a pirate or a mermaid, you may want to stay in like one color, like not use a variegated yarn or use a more like tonal variegated if you were gonna go down that route in like a beige or a blue. But hey, you can be whatever kind of pirate or mermaid you want at the end of the day. The next pattern I have in this netted category is the Dark Days. This is by Pawnee Matin Studios, and it's a really cool one because it's not actually lace, it's not actually mesh. You're just using like, I'm not sure exactly how they do it. I think it's dropped stitches to make like different textures that look kind of like mesh. It looks like maybe a fishnet, but it's not. So that's also, you know, really nice. It might be a little warmer if you're looking at going to a Renaissance Festival later in the year. The Colorado one is unfortunately in the summer, which is always miserably warm. Where it is, it's like a big dirt field, and so it gets very, very hot. But if you are doing a cool weather Renaissance Festival, this dark days could be really great because you do still get that look of the mesh, but you have like a little bit of a warmer layer. And my final mesh category is this siren swim skirt, which is made to be kind of worn as a sarong. It's made using drop stitches, so it knits up really quickly because you're just making a panel of stockinette and then dropping some stitches. And it is such, like, I don't know, I love this piece. I've loved it since it came out, and I think adding this to a mermaid or a pirate outfit, maybe you wear trousers or something, like kind of capri trousers or something underneath it, I think would really add a lot, especially to a pirate look, or, you know, I think you can make it mermaidy as well. I mean, it's in the name. Siren is kind of a mermaid, so you can very easily get that look as well. Okay, that is what I could brainstorm for pirates and mermaids. I think that there's a ton more, but I feel like that specific aesthetic relies a lot on more sewn garments of clothing or like other pieces that you can't knit. So if you do have other ideas of what you could knit to become a pirate or mermaid, let me know. But my next category of being that you can be at the Renaissance Festival is a fairy. And I think this is such a fun category because there's so many different kinds of fairies. I think I'm also looping in broader mystical creatures into fairies because there were a lot of people who dressed as like a living mushroom. And I feel like that's kind of like a fairy. Like there's very different interpretations of a fairy. You know, normally you think of like just the wings, and they have fairy dust, like a Tinkerbell kind of fairy. But I think I'm thinking of fairy in a slightly broader sense. That's like any woodland creature that's alive and it seems like might have magic. And so there's so many different fun paths you can go down. Like I mentioned, there's like mushroom fairies, there's specifically like woodland fairies, there's like fruit fairies or something like that. So you could really specify of like, I'm a peach fairy, I'm a strawberry fairy, or you could be a broader fairy, you could be a water fairy, you could be like a forest fairy, you could be a wind fairy, like whatever you kind of want, whatever's drawing your name, I think would be really fun in the fairy category. And so I think that the first great accessory that you can knit for a fairy look is a little pouch. And I have in parentheses whimsical because pouches will come up again, but I'm specifically talking about like fun little whimsical pouches. I have 3 here. The first one is the Moschella purse, which is by Rat and Sea Witch. It is such a cute little seashell pouch. I think like this would also go really well for a mermaid, but for a fairy I thought it would be really cute if you were like an ocean fairy or a water fairy, which sounds like a mermaid, but I think it's different, like a water spirit kind of vibe. You could have your little seashell purse, and like, you know, you can fit chapstick or something in it. It gives you something at the Ren Fair to have, like to keep something in it. But it's such a cute little pattern. I've really wanted to make this pouch actually for a while, and so I'm glad I could feature it today. The next whimsical pouch I have is the grapefruit pouch. This is by Yeon Jeong, and it looks like a grapefruit or like an orange. And it has a little drawstring, so it would be perfect. Like you could hang it on your wrist as you walk around the Ren Fair, so it's very visible. And you know, if you wanted it to be more like a Meyer lemon or something, you can knit it in yellow, or you know, knit it in pink. Like you can also kind of change what the fruit is. It says it's grapefruit, but as long as it's like a citrusy fruit, I think that you can knit it in the desired color and pretend it's that. So I think this was perfect for that. You might even be able to get away with saying maybe it's like a pumpkin if you did like maybe the stem in like brown or something. So that could be so cute to be like some sort of fruit or autumn or summer fairy, like whatever you kind of wanted around there. And this designer, this is the pouch I'm talking about, but Yeon Jeong has a lot of really great pouch patterns, so I also recommend just looking at all of them. If the grapefruit pouch maybe doesn't fit what you have in mind, there might be another one that does. And my final pouch is another fruit pouch. This is the Strawberry Pouch Bag Charm. This is by Alexandra Solowianiuk, and I never know if I'm saying that right. She's also known as Vert and Rose on Instagram, and it's such a cute little strawberry with the addition of beads. Again, it's got that drawstring, so you can wear it on your wrist, have it very visible the whole time, keep a few like chapstick or your car keys or something like that in the bag, or you know, if you're carrying a bigger bag, you could like put it on the handle of like a tote bag or a backpack or something like that, so that it can be more functional if you want to keep like a few small things in it like that. And yeah, it's perfect. It takes such a small quantity of yarn. It's under 30 grams of yarn, like all of these little pouches, and it is so cute and fun if you want it to be a spring or summer fairy or like a picnic fairy or something like that. Like, you can go down this rabbit hole of what specific kind of fairy you are based on the pouch you choose. The next accessory that I think is perfect for a fairy, whimsical, magical creature look is a little animal friend. And so I specifically am showing the frog pattern by Claire Garland. This is a really popular little animal. I think that you could easily like add a little safety pin kind of through the butt and put it on your shoulder and walk around with your little frog friend sitting on your shoulder all day. That would be really cute and fun if you're like a swamp fairy or just a forest fairy. You can have your little frog friend. Claire Garland has so many different stuffed creature patterns. There's penguins, there was like Winnie the Pooh, there's so many. I think there's a mouse on there, so I think that you could also find another one if like the frog isn't going to do it for your look. Maybe find another one that could do that, and like sitting on your shoulder I think would just be so cute, like so darling if all day you just had a little guy safety pin. You might need to add some wire through so it sits up well, but just, you know, perched on your shoulder, a little frog. Like, what a fun little whimsical addition to a Renaissance fair outfit. Or, you know, you could do it like around your wrist or something, like add some way to attach it to your body, I think is the best way to show off your animal creature. Claire Garland's really great for this. There's others that are also really great, honestly, on Ravelry. If you have a specific creature in mind, I highly recommend just searching up that creature in Ravelry and see what comes up. Maybe you can find another pattern that will work. Like maybe you want a dragon or like a mouse or something like that, or a cat or something. Like, you could definitely search to also find a little guy to sit on your shoulder that will fit your look. I would just make sure that it has like the anatomy. I know it's not alive, but like the anatomy kind of to sit on your shoulder. Like, a lot of them are standing up, and maybe you could have it then like perched on your shoulder standing, but just make sure when you're deciding which pattern to knit that there is a way that you could like attach it to your shoulder, or like have it wrap around your arm or something so that it can like be visible and stand up and be an actual part of your outfit, rather than you like carrying something around all day, risk losing it, or like keep it stuffed in your bag. So there is another magical creature that I found that would be so fun for a fairy, or, you know, if you wanted to be a knight or something like that. I think this is such a fun little pattern. I actually really want to make one for myself, but it is crochet. So another really great idea is the large pocket dragon. There's a large and a small version by Amanda Ray. This is a crochet pattern, but it looks relatively easy. You are making a granny square, and then adding a little head, a little tail, and a little adornment down the middle. So it shouldn't be too complex as far as crochet goes. I do want to try it, so I can let you know if it is too complex, if I do make it in the future, but it is such a cute little pattern. Like, it's so fun to have a little dragon, and they've shown on this design, they've added like a string right by the head so that it can attach to your finger, and then another that you can tie like right at your wrist so that it can be like a hand dragon. And I think that's so cute. Or you could do the same of like kind of attaching it to your shoulder, have it like poke over, would be so freaking cute. A lot of people have used it as a bookmark too, which is so fun. It's like so fun. I like that there is a use for it after you're like wearing it everywhere. You can then use it functionally as like a bookmark or something like that. But it is crochet, so I wanted to find a knit one for you as well. But the best that's out there are these like stuffed knit ones, because knitting is drastically different than crochet and might not turn out the same. And my final idea for fairies is just some adornments. I found a few adornments that I think are great, but if you are looking at a specific theme, I highly recommend searching something on Ravelry like strawberry garland or like knit strawberry, and you can find a lot of things that maybe will fit what you're looking for a little bit better. I have the Grimblewood Toadstool by Sarah Shira, which is just a cute little toadstool pattern. It's part of this whole set she has with like a house and a bunch of little gnomes, but I think that the toadstool is so cute and perfect. And again, I think that you could like safety pin it to a different part of your outfit to kind of have like, if you're being a mushroom fairy or like a woodland creature fairy, you can have it like look like it's kind of growing out of you or something like that, or have it be your friend. You could add a face to this and make it your friend and like have it perched on your shoulder if you wanted. But it's just such a cute little toadstool. I think it'd be so fun too of like if you attach them in your hair and put them like you made two and had one on either side, you could have like buns and then your little toadstools or something like that nestled in your hair, like whatever you think would be fun. With this toadstool, I think that could be great. Or, you know, fairies or strawberries or fruit or something like that. Like search up what you're looking for on Ravelry and you might be able to find something that you could place in your hair, on your body, on your outfit to add some more whimsy to your outfit. Next, I have a garland. So this is a leaf garland. This is by Ariana Frasca. And it is also available for free, so you can buy it on Ravelry or use her website with ads. And it is just a fun little leaf pattern that you're meant to attach to, you know, a strand of twine or something like that. I really like this because the leaves each have like a little loop to attach it to the final garland. You could also just use that to braid into your hair, to have leaves on you, pin them to your clothes, like to add leaves to your outfit, like whatever theme you're going for. I think, you know, if you wanted to be a woodland creature fairy, this would be perfect to add leaves everywhere. An autumn fairy, like you can make them in different colors too to decide which season you are. So that could be really great. And again, if you want to be like a nighttime fairy, maybe find a star garland and add like different stars all over. Or if you want to be, I don't know, a fruit fairy, try to find like a fruit garland, something like that. A love fairy, you can find heart garlands. Like I think there's so many different ideas. Maybe a love fairy would be like Cupid and you could add little hearts wherever. So there's so many different fun ideas for garlands that you can try to look up, see if one already exists, or a lot of these shapes aren't too complex to make. Like if you feel comfortable freestyling, by adding those cute little accessories, I think really would push a Renaissance Festival outfit over the edge and allow you to kind of show off your creativity when you go to the Ren Fest. The final adornment I have, it's not quite an adornment and I wasn't quite sure what category to put this in, but I was looking for actually I was looking for other creatures to put on your shoulders, and I found this hood that I couldn't not talk about. This is called the Dragon Hood Warren. It's by Mookie Crafts, and it's only shown on children in the photos, but there is an adult version. And it should be really easy to make. It's bulky weight, so it would knit up really quickly. And it's a little dragon hood. It's so cute with the spikes and it going down your back. I think, again, if you're doing a cold weather Renaissance Festival or like autumn, maybe it doesn't even have to be cold. It just needs to not be like 95 degrees. This would be so cute. And I love the children's versions, but I think an adult one for Ren Fest would just be so cool. Like it takes you more towards like you're a dragon, you're not a fairy at this point. But I think if you want to go down the like dragon route, or you could be like a dragon hunter with this, and this is like your one of your catches or something, I think that would be so cool. And it's so cute. I really like this one. Okay, and then our final category of like Renaissance Festival goer is kind of a large category, a broad one, of wench, maiden, or peasant. There's kind of a lot of people that go as that. I went as a wench this year. It's just really easy to put together like a wench outfit. You know, it's a corset, an easy dress, a pouch, like a belt that you can hook a a beer glass onto, things like that, that are like just look kind of medieval or Renaissance era, but aren't magical, aren't royalty, things like that. So that's what I wore this year. I didn't take any pictures, unfortunately, but that's kind of what I was going for. I think that's what a lot of people go for. And so here's some ideas to get that look yourself. The first is actually a perfect top. Again, I think only works in like cold weather, unfortunately. So I cannot wear this, or I would, but it is the Medieval Ruffle Blouse by Fable Knitwear, and it's a really simple shirt, sweater that's like nicely fitted. I think it's meant to be kind of vintage inspired, but then you add little ruffles with mohair, and so they have such a lighter little feel. I love how pointy they are too. Like they definitely have kind of like a jester look or something. Like they really, you know, as the name implies, look medieval. And so I think it would be like such a perfect little top to wear if you are looking to make a more involved Renaissance Festival outfit where you knit more than just the accessories of it. So that's my overarching, like, here's this one piece that you could wear and then check. But I do also think that some things that you can easily add to a Renaissance Festival that I'm recommending one in each category, but there are so many that would work. And if you have a favorite in these categories already, like definitely knit that. But here are some ideas of each category. So the first category I was thinking would be great for this wench maiden category is a hair scarf. I wore a hair scarf last year and I feel like it added a lot where you're just pulling your hair back in this way. I think adds a good look to it. I don't know if any of this is actually authentic, but it is what I was also seeing at the Ren Fair, and so I think that it's nice. So the one I have to recommend today is the Iris Scarf. This is by Lumi Mimosa, and I think that it is a really great one just because it's very holy. And for some reason that seems like it would be more authentic in my head. I don't know. I'm making this up. I don't have a history degree. But I think that this is a really, really nice one. There's two different versions, one with an I-cord, one without. I think either works totally great. And just something to tie your hair back, you know, while you're doing medieval laundry or trying to look like you're using a washboard or something like that. I think it's great. The next category I have, again, hair shawls. There's so many. Choose your favorite. The point is just to kind of have that, yeah, you're tying your hair back while you're doing medieval chores look to you. So a lot of them work for that. The next category I have is a shawl, especially like more symmetrical ones. You know, I think a lot of the time now we see shawls that are shaped like point to point. I think that for this, it's better if you make the ones that you start with like 3 stitches and you're increasing out. So they're like symmetrical triangles, if that makes sense. I don't know why that seems better in my head. It's like that seems more of the look, but it does. Or like maybe I'm realizing neither of the shawls I have are even really triangular. They're more like you have a lot, you increase a little bit, and they're just like flared a little. I don't know. So I have 2 in this category. The first is the Traveling Solo shawl. This is by Joji Locatelli. It might be Joji Locatelli. I'm really bad at names, so I'm always sorry. If I'm pronouncing things wrong, always feel free to correct me. I'm doing my best here. And yeah, it's just a really cool scarf with all of these kind of big areas of holes and then otherwise garter. I think that it's simple and would just add something of like kind of what this cape does, where you're just throwing something over your shoulders. It's not a full jacket, it's not a full sweater, and can add some authenticity. She styles it at one point, like wrapping it fully around her neck. I would only wear it like over your shoulders and kind of have it like drape over your shoulders. I think in my head is the better way. Maybe you could like tie it in front of you. Could look nice, could look medieval, Renaissance Festival appropriate. And then the other shawl that I think that would be really nice and is very intricate as well if you wanted to work on something that's like kind of more engaging, is the Way Leads Onto Way. It was a 2024 mystery shawl by Rosemary Romy Hill. and it is a really cool shawl with all of these lace motifs. I think that I like a little intricate knit for this as well. Like, we are talking about maidens or peasants or wenches, which we typically you think of as like, oh, lower class. But I also think that the nice thing about the history of knitting is that it's very long, and that people, you know, a way to stretch out yarn is to do lace knitting, and playing with knitting is something that a lot of people have done for a long time. And so I think that it can still be accurate to have like a super intricate lace piece. You'd probably more often see this like if you wanted to go as like a princess or something that's like higher class, a duchess or something. But I still think that it can fit for a wench or a maiden look, because maybe, you know, you inherited it from the lady of your house, or you just really like knitting and spent the time to do this and like stretched out your knitting in this way, because knitting lace takes less yarn than knitting stockinette as well. So there is that aspect where I'm like, maybe it would be something that a wench or a peasant owned. I don't really know. It's interesting. I actually really do want to learn more about the history of knitting, so that might be something that I just randomly dive into and come back one day with a bunch of random new knowledge. We'll see. Okay, and then my final category for if you're looking for that kind of maiden, peasant, wench style at Ren Fair is a pouch. So this is why I said when we were talking about the fairies, pouch, quotations, whimsical. These are non-whimsical, very practical pouches. I think like just a simple drawstring bag could work, that you're able to, like, if you're wearing a belt, tie it on the belt, hold it on your hand. Like, these are a lot more practical little pouches. You know, back then they didn't have like pockets built into clothes. It was like you tied something on your waist underneath your dresses that was a pocket. Or, you know, you had a little pouch. And so I think that this is also a really fun way to feel authentic and also be able to carry your stuff around Renfest, because they're typically large. They might have bag policies, or you might just think that like your normal day-to-day purse does not fit the aesthetic, because most people are not carrying around pouches or purses that look medieval. So I think that a pouch is perfect. And so this is the Bagoo pouch number 3 by Beatrix Mace that I want to talk about. It is a very cool, like quite intricate pouch. I think you'd need leather cording to make this. There's definitely some sewing involved as well, so be prepared for that. But it's a very cool structured bag that I think would look really nice, kind of tied around, or just you hold it throughout Renfest. I think would look really, really cool as your bag. There's a ton of other pouches and bags that I think would also have that look. I think normally knitting might not look very medieval or Renaissance festival, but I think that bags are the exception, because there were a lot of knitted bags, and knitted bags look maybe a little older. So I think you can knit a fair amount of different knitted bags if you have a favorite one and make it fit your look. You know, they're gonna look a lot more of the time than like a tote bag with a logo for like the Met on it or something. So bags are also a really easy way to incorporate knitting that might add a little bit more authenticity, or at least just not be like offensively modern, because like the bags I own are like a fall raven bag that's like very clearly made out of like nylon or something, or tote bags with different logos. So I think a knitted bag is also, or like a leather purse, I don't know. A knitted bag is probably a good bet for like at least adding a bag in an inoffensive way to your Ren Fair outfit, if not adding a little bit more authenticity or perceived I'm not going to say authenticity, because I don't think anyone going to Renfest actually knows what is authentic. I shouldn't say anyone, but that's not the point of Renfest, is to dress authentically. It's like just to enjoy it and role play and have fun. And so they look legit. I don't know. It adds maybe a little bit more legitness, not authenticity, to your outfit. So yeah, those are what I've got today. I would love to hear if you have a different Ren Fair outfit that you'd want to wear, like a different category of character that you'd want to dress as. If you have patterns for any of these categories, I'd love to hear that as well. Just in general, let me know. Do you like Ren Fair as well? I know it's kind of divisive among people as well of if they like going to things like that or not. I personally love it. I think it's so fun every year. But with that, I will leave you and I will talk to you again soon. Okay, bye.